Xin chào. Hello everyone, I'm John Chun. Welcome to Sharing Vietnam. One of the biggest desires that young people in Vietnam share is studying abroad in order to enhance their knowledge and expand their understanding of the world. The United States is among the most popular destinations for studying abroad. Today in our program, we will provide you useful information about studying abroad, particularly the organization of the Institute of International Education. Joining us today is Ms. Helen Huntley, Country Director of IIE here in Vietnam. Ms. Huntley, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure to be here.
Before we begin, here's a clip about Ms. Huntley to get to know her a bit better.
Very frequent customer in the theater, and each time we talk together, I can feel she has a great interest for Vietnamese culture to discover about the traditional things.
Hello everyone and welcome back. And so Ms. Huntley, as we saw from the clip at the introduction, you do a lot of activities such as volunteering for Friends of Vietnam Heritage. How do you balance your life with all the works and extracurricular activities you're involved in?
Well, my feeling is that I'm here in a foreign country, Vietnam, and I want to get the most out of it that I possibly can. I don't want to be, you know, sitting in my house in the evenings. I want to be out and about and enjoying Vietnam. And I think Hanoi particularly is full of cultural activities, and I do take full advantage of them. With all the embassies here, there are a lot of concerts at the Opera House. So I do take advantage of the music and dance and various kinds of cultural events. And I like to volunteer and help different kinds of people as well.
I see. And so in your work at IIE, how would you evaluate the demand for studying abroad among the Vietnamese students?
It's pretty high. I think there are something like 40,000 plus students studying overseas. About 13,000, a little more than 13,000 last year, were studying in the United States. We'll get new data on that at the end of November. So we'll see if we're maintaining that number or going up or where we are. But I think for many students it actually is the top choice. Although, because it is so expensive, most Vietnamese are looking for scholarships. And if a scholarship comes up somewhere else, of course, they will take it. We have higher education fairs here twice a year. We had a record number of U.S. institutions coming, including Berkeley, which you attended.
And in having that degree, you know, it also means that you're attending a university with higher standards, you know.
That's right.
You know, more competition.
Yes.
How have you seen how Vietnamese students have adapted to American standards?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think often students are worried before they go that they won't be able to compete, or their English won't be good enough, or, you know, it's going to be hard. And certainly the first semester usually is quite difficult adapting to everything. But what I hear from the US representatives who come to our fairs is that Vietnamese students are top-notch students. They want more Vietnamese students to go to their institutions because they are really good. So I'm very pleased to hear that they're having good experiences with Vietnamese students.
Oh, that's definitely great. And so We're actually going to take a break now. We want to talk
Okay.
more about the activities and services that IIE provide, but for now we'll take a
Okay.
break.
All right.
And here's a clip about IIE here in Vietnam.
Institute of International Education (IIE) is an independent organization with headquarters in New York, USA, which was founded in 1919 with the aim of promoting peace and mutual understanding to the country as well as education extreme. IIE is a source of information for people, students, teachers, researchers, and institutions worldwide. All of the Education USA agencies in each IIE office around the world are supported by the Embassy of the USA as well as Country Education Committee of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the USA. Through 2 offices in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, IIE Vietnam provides objective, comprehensive, and free information about recognized universities in the USA. On the other hand, IIE Vietnam also represents the ITS to organize university standardized exams such as TOEFL, ITP, or SAS. IIE is also responsible for providing information and management different scholarship programs, for instance, Fulbright or East West Center Scholarship. In addition, IIE also conducts annual USA Higher Education Fair in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City.
Hello everyone, welcome back. We're speaking today with Ms. Helen Huntley, Country Director of IIE here in Vietnam. So Ms. Huntley, as you mentioned, the number of Vietnamese students studying abroad has increased dramatically. What's your personal belief why this is occurring?
And I think that they are much more ambitious now that they know what is out there in wanting other experiences that they can't get inside Vietnam. Also, having a study abroad experience is invaluable, I think, for someone's life.
Oh, definitely.
To get the experience of living and working and studying in another culture. And I'm sure many of them hope that they can get in a year of practical training after their degrees and work for a year, possibly more, in the United States. All of this does give them an edge in the job market when they come back.
So Ms. Huntley, among the students that are applying to study abroad, what are the numbers you see that are looking for information through agencies such as IIE as opposed to doing the research themselves on the internet?
IIE actually no longer does student advising.
Oh, I see.
We did until 2 years ago. But now student advising through Education USA is located in the US Embassy in Hanoi and the consulate in Ho Chi Minh City. So as an organization, we in IIE Vietnam don't do student advising, except indirectly through the fairs. But in terms of where students get their information from, I think many of them go to agents. There are something like 3,000 education agents in Vietnam.
Wow.
Of course, you have to pay an agent. They may or may not be biased. Whereas going to something like Education USA is free, it's supposed to be unbiased, it gives information that students really need. But students have to make their own minds up on what they want, and sometimes the parents push them in a certain direction too.
And so once the student is accepted to a university and they're studying abroad already, are there any services that you provide to help them adjust to life and adjust to the new standard of education?
No, there's nothing that we do from IIE Vietnam, but I think universities, the universities where they go to, provide a lot of services for students. Also, I imagine that there are pre-orientation programs for Vietnamese students. I don't personally know of any, but probably Education USA would provide these kinds of services. In IIE, we actually don't.
And so, going back into the topic of the biggest fear is studying abroad once you get there, and programs such as orientations kind of alleviate that. And also another program they're starting is linking alumni. Now, can you talk more about that and how effective it's been?
Again, since we don't do advising of students, we no longer have an alumni program, although we have many email lists, so we do keep in touch with our students who've been connected with us in the past and currently. But various organizations do have alumni programs, and I know that for students coming back from studying overseas, it can be quite difficult to get back into Vietnamese society. You've changed, and you've got to find your place again. And it's very important to have a support system to help each other out, to talk about issues, and also networking for jobs that are available for returned Vietnamese as well.
It also gives them the opportunity to share with, prospective students.
Yes, absolutely.
Their
Yes,
knowledge
and they are the best
information.
source of knowledge.
Exactly.
If they've had a good experience, then they're going to pass on that good experience to a friend or a relative.
Definitely. So Ms. Huntley, actually we're going to take another break. And here's an in-depth look into the activities of IIE here in Vietnam.
Currently, the United States is one of the great foster genuines of the world, and it is also the country many international students, including Vietnamese students, select as the ideal destination for their studying and researching journey. Although living cost, tuition fees, and all other expenses for studying and living in the USA are more expensive than many other countries, but for the excellence of the university, the USA is still attracting Vietnamese students to study. In the past decade, the number of Vietnamese students studying in the USA has increased 6 times. According to the last day's statistics from Open Door 2010 annual report from IIE in Vietnam, Vietnam ranked 9 in the world for the number of students studying at the university in the USA and ranked 2nd for the number of students studying at community college.
Hello everyone and welcome back. So Ms. Huntley, since your time with IIE, have you guys faced any difficulties or challenges in implementing activities here in Vietnam?
IIE Vietnam has had an office in Hanoi since 1997, so we're quite well established, and we also have a small office in Ho Chi Minh City. So in terms of operating, we're used to the way things work here, and we need to get permits for our activities, but they go relatively smoothly. Of course, there are always some difficulties of operating in a different culture, but we have people to help us get through those. I'm the only expat on the staff.
Oh, wow.
The others are all Vietnamese.
Vietnamese.
Yes, so that's very helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And so what's the plan for the future?
Well, we hope we'll be in Vietnam for quite a long time yet. Our current plans are to focus more on the educational fairs because they are the best attended of the IIE series of fairs in Southeast Asia. But the ones in Vietnam seem to be the most successful. So we want to provide other educational services for institutions in the US that want to come to Vietnam to find really good students. And that might include tours to visit specific institutions with a small group of universities, or a fair with a particular focus such as IT or business. So that's where we hope to expand in the near future in Vietnam.
Well, that's really great. So Ms. Huntley, that actually concludes our show for today. I just want to ask you if you can provide our viewer audience with any final words, or particularly those who want to study abroad.
Oh yes, I'd be happy to. If there are any students out there listening, I would strongly suggest that you start thinking about your plan for studying overseas a couple of years in advance, because it takes a long time to get ready for the exams, to improve your English, perhaps to collect the finances that you need, to do all the paperwork that you have to do. All of this needs to be considered well in advance, not at the last moment. So think about where you want to study, do some research about the institutions you might be interested in, and then go for it.
Great. And thank you very much, Ms. Huntley. It was a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that concludes our show for today. Thank you for watching Sharing Vietnam. From all of us from NetVit, channel VTC10, I'm John Chun. Live for today, and we'll see you tomorrow.